Good morning, everyone. My name is Jenny. I'm an artificial intelligence voice, and I will assist Vakhijan, Jamilia, and Hussam in presenting the Aral Sea disaster in Central Asia. Central Asia comprises a vast area stretching from the western Siberian lowlands to the Tian Shan and Pamir mountain ranges and from the Altai to the Caspian Sea. Its topography is characterized by vast deserts and mountainous regions. In total, 20% of the approximately 4 million square kilometers that make up Central Asia is covered by mountains. More than 90% of Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan are covered by mountains. According to the research conducted by the World Bank in 2009 in 28 countries in Europe, the Caucasus and Central Asia, Tajikistan and Kyrgyzstan have the highest degree of vulnerability to climate change. This is an alarming trend, highlighting the particular vulnerability of the mountain ecosystems of Central Asia to climate change in comparison to other mountainous regions of the Eurasian continent. There are two main rivers in Central Asia, Amu Darya, which originates in Tajikistan, and Sir Darya, which originates in Kyrgyzstan. These rivers are the principal water sources in the region and are main tributaries of the Aral Sea.
Содан кейін теңіз уже соқта теңіз 60-шы жылдан бастап теңіз кетіп жатыр ғой, оны ешкім білген жоқ. Последний раз 1977-78 жылдары.
Аралдың жағдайын ол кезде ешкім ойлаған жоқ. Бұл кеуіп қалада осындай катастрофа, экологический жағдайға ұшырайды деп ол кезде ешкім ойлаған жоқ.
The Aral Sea was once the fourth largest lake in the world, which has been called a sea due to its size, but it had shrunk because of the excessive water utilization from the rivers by the riparian countries during the Soviet time.
Есімім Абылайхан Памилам Құлмұратов. Ол солтүстік Арал теңізі бөгетінде инженер болып жұмыс істеймін. Арал теңізіне құйып тұрған екі өзеннің суын ирригацияға есепсіз пайдалану салдарынан 1989 жылда Арал теңізі екіге бөлінді.
In the 1960s, the Soviet government initiated regional irrigation development projects aimed at improving economic conditions in the region and addressing food and fiber, cotton, security, which were a major priority for Moscow. A system of canals and pumps was constructed to withdraw water from the Amu Darya and Sir Darya before their discharge into the Aral Sea. The water was used mainly for growing cotton, wheat, and rice, using very inefficient irrigation technologies. While the shrinking of the lake and the deterioration of its water quality were apparent prior to 1991, the associated environmental consequences became international and gained serious attention only after the collapse of the Soviet Union. Once the Soviet Union was dissolved, the downstream countries, still utilizing generous water allocations, immediately became dependent on their upstream neighbors for water, dramatically increasing both the possibility for conflict in the region as well as the need for cooperation. Unlike their downstream neighbors, Kyrgyzstan and Tajikistan have no natural gas and oil reserves and consider the water originating on their territory to be their resource. Although the Central Asian states have maintained the status quo and have on the whole been slow to try and change the system setup. As the Aral Sea has dried up, fisheries and communities that dependent on them collapsed. The increasingly salty water became polluted with fertilizer and pesticides. The blowing dust from the exposed lakebed, contaminated with agricultural chemicals, became a public health hazard. As the water supply to the Aral decreased, the demand for cotton increased and, in response, more pesticides and fertilizers were poured onto the land. Land in most of the surrounding areas, regardless of the crop, was saturated with dangerous levels of chemicals needed to grow cotton. Increased water salinity and pollutants have killed most of the Aral Sea fish, including all the native species. Salination has damaged over 6 million hectares of land. Effects include decreased vegetation for forage that has led to a decrease in the numbers of domestic animal numbers that can be supported. The drying up of the Aral Sea has impacted the local climate. Previously, it played a moderating role, but its loss is leading to shorter, drier summers, longer, colder winters, and decreased precipitation. Reduced growing seasons are also contributing to decreased agricultural productivity. The International Fund for Saving the Aral Sea (Upeace) was established in 1993 with the aim of developing and funding environmental and applied research projects and programs in order to improve ecological situation in the areas affected by the Aral Sea catastrophe and address the socio-economic issues in the region. The development of the first program was initiated with the participation of the World Bank, UNDP and UNEP. The main goals of the program included stabilizing the environment in the Aral Sea basin, restoring the affected environment, improving the management of water and land resources, and creating management structures at all levels for planning and implementation of the program. Despite the relatively low amount of CO2 emitted by the Central Asian countries, they are the most vulnerable to the impact of climate change. An increase in temperature and decrease in precipitation alters the water cycle and potentially causes drought conditions. At first, glacial melting can lead to an abundance of water resources and as a result to floods, land and mudslides in highlands. However, further melting of the ice caps can cause drought conditions of the rivers fed by seasonal floods due to disappearance of glacial resources. Although UNEP concluded that the Aral Sea cannot be saved to its prior grandeur, but this forces the Central Asian countries to change their policies and water management systems to a more sustainable and environmental friendly way to at least maintain the current water resources.
Арал кеткеннен кейін барлығы да кете бастады. Барлығы өздерінің елдеріне қашып көшті. Қазір мен тұрайын қаңырап ане заводтар тұр. Зданиялар бәрі дым жұмыс жоқ, өліп қалған кәдімгі. Мертвая тишина дейді, орысша айтқанда. Барлығы көшті. Қазір біздің аралда қазақтар қалып отыр. Біз қайыққа барамыз? Еш жаққа бара алмаймыз. Осы жақта қаламыз. Айтып жатыр ғой жан жақтан. Сақтап қалса, сақтап қалсын, халықтың наны ғой ол дейді. Мүмкін сол немереміздің немересі көре ме, оны айтып отырмын ғой.